Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a quick first impressions video for you. I do have something from Griffin, and I've been wanting this for quite a while. So there is Keith's name, the owner-operator. When you buy these knives, it's pretty cool. You get some cards with your purchase. The first one tells you what you've got here, which is a Scout 3.F 3.5. And then here are the specs, including hardware and various other data points that you would be interested in. And then in addition, you get this second card that shows the options that are available and the options that are supposed to be on this knife. Now, this probably serves a function in-house as well. And that is, you can set this up the way it's supposed to be. And then the people putting these orders together can make sure that everything is as it should be. So you get sort of that extra check-in on your specs. And then, of course, when you get the knife, you sort of have this double verification of what you're getting and what you're looking at. So really like all of this. Now, I will say the knives, by the way, let's bring this knife in. Here is the plain tie Scout 3.5. Really great looking knife. We'll come back to this in a second, but I just want to point out, I showed you these cards, and I don't mean to imply that, any day of the week you can just go over to Griffin Knife Co. and pick out of all of these options. You're definitely going to be somewhat limited, but what you can do, I played around with this a little bit, you can go through the options, pick the spec that you want, and then when you're done, there'll be a button that says, hey, let me know when this is available. So they do have the option to customize specifically to your own desires, but there's no guarantee that that exact knife is in stock or available immediately or even in the near future, but you have the option to kind of put together what you want and then say, let me know when this is available, which I think is kind of cool, especially if you're not in a big rush. Otherwise, if you are in a rush, you're limited to, and they'll tell you there what's available at a given time. Okay, so let me get this stuff out of the way and get back to the knife. Oh yeah, one other thing that I want to throw in here before we get to the knife, and that is, look at the bag of hardware. This is a great touch, and I wish more companies were doing this. You've got pretty well everything you need for dealing with any issue that could arise with your knife. And even if there are no issues, it's still nice to have some backup hardware. That's a really welcome addition, and I love to see that. Now, the knife itself is, of course, the 3.5-inch blade. I would not be interested in any of the other variants, and it took them a little bit of time to get to the 3.5. I really liked the design from the first time I saw it, and I think they were initially in a 3-inch blade, and then they came out with a 2.5, and then finally the 3.5. So it's been a bit of a wait, but even from the first time I saw this in the smaller version, I was like, that is a cool looking knife, and I really like that design. I've been obviously waiting around because, one, they're not always available, and two, as I pointed out, they're not always available in the size I want. But this one is just about right. 3.5 inches of Magnacut steel up here. Very high flat grind on this stonewash blade. Nice and thin behind the edge. The blade stock is a little thicker than we often see. I personally absolutely love that. It's going to be, not quite 3/16, but getting actually fairly close, like a good bit over 1/8 of an inch. So that's really nice to see. This is on bearings. As you can see, if you're looking at this, it is a titanium frame lock. Lock access is really comfortable and good. It has the front flipper option. I don't tend to use the front flipper option. To me, this knife just asks to be spidey flicked or reverse flicked. But the opening function, the front flipper function, wow, is there. And from time to time, I'll use it. The jimping here is not great. It's a little bit soft. It still works. It gives you enough traction to deploy the knife, but I tend to like that fine Spyderco jimping a little bit better than this heavier jimping that is certainly there, and it does provide some traction, but especially without gloves, it's not a huge amount of traction that you get from this. Obviously, this is going to have lock bar insert and over travel stop. You can see the lock cutout is on the outside. Milled titanium clip, which works really well. And these are not reversible, but if you go on the website, you'll quite immediately see that they do have Lefty options in pretty well all their models. I didn't go through every single knife, but the knives that I looked at, there was a Lefty version available that you could I mean, not available immediately, but there was a Lefty option that you could wait around for until the next run of Lefties come along. All right, let me get to quick size and weight on this guy. This thing is obviously 3.5 inches on the blade. We already mentioned that, hence the name Scout 3.5. It's 8.5 inches overall. The cutting edge is also 3.5 inches. It's 5 1/8 of an inch closed. So this is a fairly substantial folder. It takes up a little bit of pocket space. It's also pretty thick. Famously, Spydercos are always kind of thick, and you'll see this is as thick as a PM2, all right, and a little more girthy overall. The grip area on this is a generous 3 3/4 inches. Lots of room for my large, extra large hand. In a saber grip, it feels really, really nice. In a hammer grip, it's still hand-filling enough that you can definitely get some good traction. Gotta love all of that. The pocket clip does work really, really well. Milled clips can work, especially when they're kind of thin like this. If you see this kind of thing, you can be pretty confident that this is going to work well, and certainly this one does. All right. The action is very nice, as we've already mentioned. It's on bearings. I haven't done anything to this knife since getting it, other than flip it a few times and kind of check it out, and it's pretty darn good. I need to give you a weight, and where is my scale? There it is. Normally I measure this before, but I forgot, so we're going to do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. All right. 5.9 ounces, so big hefty boy, but again, under 6 ounces, I really don't notice the knives I'm carrying. And I've noticed a lot of these heavier, bigger knives are still pretty popular. So I feel like most of us, if we're into higher end knives, if we're into titanium frame locks, are not getting bent out of shape over the weight. Okay, yeah, there are some people who, watch lots of nut and fancy videos, and because of that, they're just stuck on that 4 ounce number. And I watched lots of nut and fancy videos as well. I enjoy nut and fancy videos, but I'm just not stuck on 4 ounces as like the magic number that a pocket knife must be to be carryable. All right. So my overall thoughts, my first impression of this knife, really, really well made, great design, feels fantastic in hand. Now, if there is a negative to this, it's going to be the same negative as a long list of knives, and that would be the design has a very overbuilt, heavy-duty kind of aesthetic, but the components are not super overbuilt and super heavy duty. So it's, it's thick titanium, it's thick blade stock, but it's all put together with the same, pivot construction and lock construction and all of that as, something like a TRM Atom or something that's a really thick blade, really thin stock that's just made for light duty EDC. All right. So that's about my only sort of downside with this. Is I'd love to see knives that have this overbuilt aesthetic also do some things with the lock and with the pivot to, go to dual row ceramic bearings, or better yet, roller bearings would be amazing in knives like this. But it's just not something you often see, and I wish that was a much more frequent thing. The other option would be, by the way, if anyone's watching this, if you're going to do a knife with single row bearings, just make the pivot a little bigger so we could switch out to skiff bearings that are dual row bearings. I'd be perfectly happy switching all my knives to skiff dual row bearings, but there's not enough space for many of them, including this one. All right, so that's my overall thoughts on this. I will carry this, use it, do a little bit of cutting, carry it around a bit, and let you know what I think after having a bit more experience with it. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.